He's been hailed as a hero for shooting the Texas mass killer outside the First Baptist Church and then chasing him down. But Stephen Willefred has mostly shunned the limelight since the massacre. The 55-year-old plumber was at home when he heard the rapid staccato of gunfire coming from the church. He grabbed his rifle and rushed outside barefoot to see what was happening. He ran into Devin Kelly, who had just unleashed a terrifying attack inside the church, leaving 26 dead and 20 wounded amid the blood-soaked pews. Willefred fired twice, hitting Kelly twice before the gunman jumped inside his Ford Explorer and took off. Willefred hitched a ride with Johnny Langerdorf and gave chase at speeds hitting 95 miles per hour. The wounded Kelly lost control 10 miles later, ditched his vehicle, and blew himself away. The accolades and requests for interviews began to pour in. Vice President Mike Pence appeared with him during his visit to the grief-stricken Sutherland Springs on Wednesday. Willefred was described as a hero, but he has rejected that label, referring to himself as a victim who suffered the loss of many friends in the tightly knit community. The people of that church, they're friends of mine, they're family, and every time I heard a shot I knew that probably represented a life. He's only granted interviews to that TV station and the National Rifle Association. His friends say the reluctant hero doesn't like attention. He's just a quiet guy, Martha Buford said. He'd give you the shirt off his back. Bain Serna, a former Sutherland Springs resident who lives nearby in Atkins, said she was aware that many Americans do not condone the use of guns by armed bystanders. But there's no question that this guy, Kelly, was on a rampage. Ed Scruggs, spokesman for Texas Gun Sense, a nonprofit that advocates for more gun control measures, commended Willefred for his training and for keeping his gun in a safe place. This man was the type of gun owner you want to see, Scruggs told the Express News. Unfortunately, not everyone does that, and so that's where a lot of risk comes in. Willefred is no stranger to tragedy. In 1993, he lost his parents, Dilbert and Patricia Willefred, in a motorcycle accident by a drunken driver. I remember that so well, said Beulah Wilson, a local historian. It was so sad. Some suggested that his personal tragedy contributed to his search for privacy, yet still he contributed to the community. Stephen's the kind of person where if you need him, he's there, but he's not going to be at every function or everything. He helped with the toy run fundraiser for the church and volunteered his skills as a commercial plumber for those in need. Because he was private, he was hard to get hold of. But if you leave a note at his door, he will come, and you will help with the plumbing at the ballpark or whatever you need. Willefred and his wife Pam homeschooled 3 children who are all grown now. He's a gentleman, just a sweet spirit, who used to homeschool her kids along with Willefred's. Him and his wife both do the motorcycle thing. It's cute, whether he likes it or not. The worst mass killing in Texas history has thrust Willefred to the limelight. Superman always got that tie and suit and glasses on. He's just a guy that tries to do his business and everything. But when he's called into action, he just goes. Jody Gould, a San Antonio resident whose daughter's best friend was killed in the massacre, said simply, "He's probably a legend." There are many stories of heroes that have saved lives using guns. In this case, and in our most recent case, the system failed. Devin Kelly broke the ribs of his wife and punched her repeatedly in the stomach, and he broke the skull of his own son. They did not enter him into the system. They failed. There should have been protests in the streets, women's rights activists, women from battered women's shelters, the ones who are supposed to support and teach battered women. They should have been screaming. They should have taken the government buildings down brick by brick, demanded the incarceration of the person who failed to log him into the system so he could not get a gun. Wife or domestic violence abusers should not have guns. I know stories in my own town. It's even advised in these groups for battered women not to get a restraining order. They tell us that. The reason why? Because it makes the batterer even more angry, and they come back and take your life. It's a story of a woman who went to get a restraining order. Her husband was waiting across the street and shot her to death. More needs to be done. Women should be able to get a restraining order. They shouldn't be told not to. And when they get that restraining order, they should be protected. These men should be put in jail right away. They've done a crime. They're batterers. They should be in jail. There shouldn't even be a question or a thought that don't get a restraining order because of something that might happen. Yet, it seems like the system in these cases, clearly, the system has let these batterers free, and they end up killing. And there's another case in my town. A beautiful girl. I went to school with her sister. She was half Japanese and half American. She fell in love with a man that was African American. He was very abusive to her. And she had his child, and he went into a rage, and he stabbed them both to death. She was buried holding her child, and her mother held the teddy bear of the little boy in her arms. So death, killings can be done without a gun and with a gun. And the system, when a woman reports a man as being abusive, fails us. Devin Kelly could have killed. He tried to kill his wife and child. He should have been in jail. The person who did not enter his name into the books as someone who should not own a gun failed. Blood is on their hands. Are they in jail? I don't think so. Is the FBI in jail for wasting their time trying to indict Trump because Hillary lost? The heads, the department, the money of our greatest investigative agencies were wasting their time trying to indict Trump and make up false stories, while the FBI was letting killers free, saying stupid things. Oh, we have his name and the way he spells his name, but we can't find him. There's no way we can find him when the NSA has everything on these people, everything on us. They have a packet of information of everything we do, everything we say, where we are, where we're sending our emails and texts to. They have everything. And the FBI could not find him. And that the 4 deputies, heard the shots ring out and stood there and waited for someone else to show up and didn't stop the killings. They failed. The police failed. The FBI failed. The deputies on the job failed. They all failed. And the people who are responsible that you want a witch hunt for, burn her, that the CNN is inciting angry mobs. They want us to turn on it sounds like they want us to turn on each other. They're inciting angry mobs to do violence. This is a warning. America is on the brink. There are lies being told. It is not the NRA or the gun lobby. They are for legal guns and responsible gun ownership. While there are thousands of illegal guns, the murders that are being committed in Chicago with the strictest gun laws in the book are all illegal. The gun laws don't stop illegal guns. People can make their own guns with 3D computer machines. They put the sheet metal in and they can make their own guns. There are borders where the guns are coming over and drugs are coming over. And the Obama administration, fast and furious, sent guns to South America. And thousands have been killed with the guns that a president that wants to take away our guns sent illegal guns and killed thousands. And the Paris terrorist attacks. Those guns ended up in the Paris terrorist attacks. And he, Obama, dropped the charges for African Americans who had illegal guns, dropped the charges, who had scratched off the serial numbers on their guns, because he didn't want to put any more African Americans in jail. So how can stricter gun laws or taking away the guns stop these illegal guns, especially if the president and the attorney general say drop the charges, drop the gun charges? But it's the fault of the NRA, who train people in responsible gun ownership and safety and how to the reason to protect lives, to save lives. That is the reason. Our founding fathers said the government should fear the people should not fear the government. The reason why we fought the revolution was not because of taxes. It's because a totalitarian regime, a king that was more like a dictator, wanted to take the guns away from us. When the government becomes corrupt, we have to bring justice and fairness and goodness and the right back. I ask you to join me. We need a third way. They're inciting mobs. When I ever heard on CNN, burn her. They're inciting angry mobs. America is on the brink. We're at a very dangerous point, and the media is fueling it because we forget that these terror attacks and mass killings are committed by trucks and bombs and pressure cookers and knives and acid attacks and rapes and fire. There's all sorts of ways that these mass killings are occurring, but they make us forget. They divert our attention and say, look at this shiny thing over here. It's the guns, it's the guns. And you forget the others. They're diverting our attention. They're brainwashing us. And they're inciting us to fight with each other. It's like they enjoy reporting on wars. And they're helping to promote a civil war. Who's behind this is what I ask. We need a third way. We want peace. We want protection. We want legal, responsible gun owners. Because there are illegal guns out there. And people can make their own guns and knives. And we need people out there desperately to protect us. And we need the deputies to do their jobs. And like I said in my last video, which I would suggest you watch, it's 40 minutes, but it moves very fast. I'm very proud that even Ben Shapiro and people are actually saying what I said in that video. There's something wrong. The FBI not doing their job. The deputies standing down. There's something very skewed out there. I think there's someone behind this, some movement behind this, because they want to take the guns. This is very dangerous. And when I have Ben Shapiro agreeing with me, I'm on to something. They're not censoring him, thank God. I hope to God they don't censor me. I want peace, I do not want war. But in strength we must unite. Those who want peace, to be reasonable, to be fair. and to know that they can't divert our attention. It isn't just guns that kill. There's also those that don't use the guns and let others kill. It's almost like they wanted this to happen. That's what it seems like. The FBI failed John F. Kennedy. They interviewed Oswald 2 weeks before he was shot, and they said he wasn't a danger. Esteban Santiago, who got on the plane in Alaska and ended up in Florida, took his gun off the plane and killed 5 people. The FBI interviewed him too, said he wasn't. He wasn't a threat. Omar Mateen was interviewed. He cheered 9/11. He cheered every terrorist attack. But the FBI was told you can't profile him because he's a Muslim. And so they dropped the ball on him and said he wasn't a threat. The Boston bombers, Russia warned us. Russia, the enemy, warned us. They didn't use guns, they used pressure cookers. The FBI dropped the ball on that. San Bernardino shooters. People were afraid. The neighbors were afraid to tell on them when they saw those guns because they were afraid of being called an Islamophobe. The people who are putting these names out, silencing us by calling us racists or Islamophobes or homophobes or xenophobes. They're silencing us. And they're letting these massacres happen because they're silencing us with fear. The ones who put those names out into the public, they are to blame. Because it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what your religion is, or the color of your skin, or your ethnicity, or your race. There are good and bad in all these races, all these religions. There are good and bad. And when someone is clearly doing something bad, don't silence them with a name. Don't silence us. Unless you want violence, unless you want a war. I'm afraid to speak like this because I don't know if anyone's going to hear me. But we have to get together. A coalition of peace. Unity of all colors, all races, all creeds, all religions, all ethnicities, all sexualities. Let's join together and put our heads together. And I'll keep putting out videos about some psychology, a new way to talk to each other where we can both listen and to drop our preconceived notions, that we can hear each other better. I don't want to just put out videos about news because a lot of people do that. I want to put out constructive videos that will help us come together and unite as a people, as a human race, for there is only one race, and it is the human race. And I believe in saving animals too, all life. So this is about peace, not about blame. I don't know why our leaders are doing this. I don't know why. I would hope that there is goodness in their heart and their intentions are good. And our former President Obama's intentions are good and he wants peace. But maybe he's going about it the wrong way. I think it's the wrong way. I don't think his way is working. So maybe he should try a new way if he wants peace. And I'll join him, and I'll join together with anyone who's truly showing that they want peace and to bring us together, not divide us into races or into different groups. Because, like Martin Luther King says, it's not the color of your skin, but the content of your character. Let's drop all these labels, and see each other as human beings who are capable of good. We know we're capable of bad, but we are capable of good too. So I'm going to sign off for tonight, and I'll see you again tomorrow. And I'm going to put out a video that's hopefully going to bring us together. Let's come together. Good night. Goodbye for now. And peace be with you. And love. Do something good today. One act of kindness at least. And feel the joy of that act of